My name is Dave McDonald. I'm the Associate Provost, and we are thrilled that you are here tonight. The students that are in the crowd today, all of you had been admitted to the university, and we know that you're at that final stage of trying to make a decision of which great school to choose from. By being here today, you're obviously showing a lot of wisdom, a lot of commitment, and we know your choice is definitely leaning to a Western direction. For us, the most important thing that happens tonight is that you have all of your questions answered. That to us is the biggest agenda item there is. So throughout the night, please stop any speaker at any point in time and ask them any question. Because I guarantee you, if the ladies from Taft High School in Lincoln City have a question, folks from West Salem or Sprague or us have the same question. So please ask those questions that you need. They're really good questions to ask. I want to give an opportunity right now for you to hear from our president. A lot of universities do events like this. Very few of them actually have senior leadership who come to almost every event we do like this. And we're blessed as a university to have as our president, Mark Wise, who you will see throughout your experience on campus. He is just a regular guy who happens to have the role of president for us and takes it very seriously, and we're very fortunate with that. So, Mark Wise, our president.
Thank you, Dave. Well, it was so nice meeting so many of you this evening, from Salem to Woodburn to almost up in the Portland area. Many of you I remember from preview days that occurred last year when I got to introduce myself to you, and I welcome you back. Yes, tonight is the night that you get to ask all the questions you have. And I've been going around to tables and I've been saying, what are the questions you have? And the only question that I got is, what are we going to do tonight? And I said, we're going to get all your questions answered. Well, in any event, did anybody see Western Oregon University today on the internet? And a viral internet that's kind of made the rounds? No, you haven't. Well, you need to go to, if one person did, okay. You need to go to CNN or professional baseball or some such thing. Look up WOU dog softball team. And you're going to see a really neat video clip that's being, it's getting coverage all over the world, actually. So in any event, I welcome you here to Western. I'm glad you're here. I look forward to having some conversations with some more of you. And I can only say that the wisdom that you have in being here this evening is absolutely fantastic. You're at a school that cares about you. That's why we're here. Dave, I'm going to turn it back to you.
So in addition to Mark Weiss, our president, being here, I want to recognize the gentleman in the back, Steve Scheck. He's our vice president for academic affairs. And for parents, he's a double resource for you, because not only is he here as kind of our senior academic officer, but he's also the parent of 2 kids who are graduating within a month of each other from college. And so he's been through what you're starting now in your journey, and you can see you can live through the process. This is really about you. We've been doing these events throughout the state. This is kind of the middle of the sequence. A team of our folks went to Medford, Roseburg, Bend, had great turnouts there. Rob and I just got back from a really tough assignment in Hawaii. Yeah, someone had to do it, and and we had phenomenal turnout there. And all I can tell you is that your incoming classmates from Hawaii are incredibly excited and large in number. I mean, we're talking 60, 70 of those students coming over just to be at this university. You're going to have a tremendous experience working with those students. We're going to go to California in a couple of weeks and meet with students from LA and San Francisco and do the same thing with them. You are entering a new phase in your academic and personal experiences. You're really entering that point in time when we truly as a society call you adults. You may not feel like it sometimes. That's okay. I don't feel like it sometimes either. Don't worry about it. But that's what we expect of you. So you're going to start making some really important decisions. The biggest decision you can make tonight isn't that you're coming to Western. That's going to happen anyway. But rather that you're going to come to college to graduate and be a college graduate. That is what I want all of you to put as your decision point, that you are making a firm commitment to finish what you start, to graduate from your university, become an alumni, have a great career, give back to your school, all those great things. We have a full agenda today, and that agenda we've really refined over the years because we know the type of questions all of you have. Rob in a moment and Tammy will talk to you about the business side of things, the process that's going to happen between now and when classes start in September. And they're going to walk you through so that hopefully at no point in time between now and when classes begin do you have any surprises. You'll know what to expect. You'll know what's going to happen. You'll know when it's going to happen, where, and why, and make that process much easier. I do want to go ahead and answer one question that was asked to me because a lot of you are local and you have some choices of where you live, whether they're on campus or off. Should the students live on campus? I can say without hesitation, the answer is yes. If you want to be a college graduate, if you want to maximize your experience, if you want to maximize your leadership opportunities and your connections with the campus, connections with the faculty, the best thing you can do for those things is to live on campus your freshman year. Singularly, it is the most important thing you can do. Now, some of you are going to say, well, yeah, but it's more expensive. No, it really isn't as expensive as you think. Because if you're going to drive from Corvallis every day or Salem every day, think about the gas that you're going to be going through and the wear and tear in your car. Think about the fact that you're putting yourself at risk of missing a class or 2 or 3. Where if you're on campus, you can wake up 5 minutes before class and kind of stagger to class and still make it. I don't advise you do it very often, but you have that opportunity. So if you can think of, and remember, if nothing else, please remember how critically important it is for you to live on campus your freshman year. You will make friends in your residential hall experience that will last you a lifetime. And they will be your roommates when you move off campus your sophomore or junior year. They will be your friends that you stay in contact with Facebook or whatever replaces Facebook in 10 years. Those will be your lifetime friends, and they will be tighter with you than you can ever imagine. Living off campus really limits that opportunity. And it limits the opportunity to have those spontaneous chat sessions about world peace or how to apply this business class and this psychology class together. And I've got students here shaking their heads going, yeah, those are great conversations to have. And they truly are and will be yours by living in the residence halls. Now, you can have them outside the res halls, but it's a lot harder. It really is much harder if you're commuting back and forth to get into those conversations. They don't seem to happen at 9 in the morning the way they do at 9 at night or midnight. So think about that. And as I said, I promised that I would be around all night, and I will be. But to get you out of here at a reasonable time, I'm going to turn the microphone over to 2 of my colleagues, Rob Fittner, who is our Director of Admissions, and Tammy Safel, who is the Associate Director of Academic Advising. And these are 2 of the best professionals you could ever hear from. So thank you very much.
Joke with Tammy that we're going to sing and we won't scare you by doing that. We won't do a duet, but I think we work pretty well. We've been doing the receptions over the years and trying to convey what we think is some great information. I do want to introduce just a few more folks. We have our students that you'll hear from later this evening. The admissions office, and this is perfect timing. I'm sure they have a piece of pizza in their mouth. They're trying to chew their food. But I want to first introduce our senior admission counselor, Zach Pearson. And for those of you who might be from the Corvallis, Eugene area, you may remember Zach or you've met with him. But I want to introduce Zach. And once again, he works with a lot of our students in the local area and families. And then also Norma Sanchez. And for a lot of families maybe from Salem Kaiser or just from the local area, you may recognize Norma as well. And so 2 of our staff, the others are essentially out on the road still recruiting, believe it or not. That's we still have students that are applying for admission because they're finding Western Oregon is a great choice. And perhaps you've talked to someone that you know that says, I'm going to go to Western Oregon. They say, well, tell me more. I'm hearing a lot of that as well, is that our students who have been admitted are now influencing their friends to consider Western Oregon. So thank you. Now, tomorrow is May 1st. And why is that such a big deal? And Dave mentioned that already. We got some phone calls. I know Zach told me. So some folks are calling about, how do I tell you that I'm actually coming? And by tonight being here, I think that says a lot. But how do I officially do that as a freshmen. And so tomorrow at 8 a.m. on your Western Oregon portal, hope you're familiar with that term. If not, we can answer questions about the portal, is that beginning tomorrow you can log into your portal, and for freshmen, this is magically going to appear. There'll be a link that says intent to enroll. Once it's going to be under My Programs on your portal, so you log into your portal, there'll be under My Programs, that heading, it'll say intent to enroll. You click that on, and then you tell us, yes, I'm coming, I'm going to be a Western Oregon Wolf. No, I'd like to go ahead and cancel. We hope that doesn't happen, but perhaps I'm going to be going to another school. Or I'd like to defer my admission to winter or spring. And sometimes students will do that. Is they'll say, I need a break from school. I need a little time out. I'm going on a trip abroad, or I'm going to work, and I'll see you in the winter or spring. And that can happen. Not many students do that, but that can happen from time to time. So once again, tomorrow morning starting at 8 o'clock, that intent to enroll link will show up on your portal. If it doesn't, please let us know. Call admissions and we can add you in. Occasionally, with technology, things can happen. We can fix that issue. It's really a quick fix. So if it doesn't show up on your portal, once again, this is just for freshmen. And you may have heard from some other schools that said we want you to do that by May 1st. At Western, we say starting May 1st. And then we'd like you to do that by no later than the end of May, because that determines who should get information about orientation, registration, and who should we leave alone, be the best way to put it. So that starts tomorrow through the end of May is that intent to enroll process for first-time freshmen. And if you have any questions about that, let me know. Once again, you have two admission counselors, Zach and Norma, that are here tonight to answer questions about that as well. So I'm going to turn back to my colleague from academic advising, and we're going to be talking about orientation, registration, placement tests, and other things that may serve us that we say, this would be good advice for students and their families, whether you're coming as a transfer student or coming as a first-time freshman.
Okay, so my understanding is that there's a lot of transfer students. So if you're a transfer student, just so I can get a sense of where you are and where I need to be speaking to, could you raise your hand real quick? Okay, so you're kind of scattered across the room. Transfer students, what you need to know, your next step is TSOR, Transfer Summer Orientation Advising and Registration, and that's coming up on May 17th. So when you come to TSOR on that day, you will be meeting with faculty advisors from your area of study for your major, and they will help you get registered. So it's an important day. It's on a Saturday, so hopefully you will be able to attend the TSOR event. On that day as well, if you need to take any placement tests for math or get placed into a Spanish class from a placement test, that will be available as well. In addition, if you are a biology major and trying to get into Biology 211, there will be a placement test for that. So that's happening Saturday, May 17th for those who are transferring in. Okay, now the question that I've gotten a lot this evening is, how do I register, and when do I register, and when does this happen? If you look in your packets, there's a couple of things that I'm going to be referring to. The first thing is block schedules. The list that is in there is a sample. When you actually get the list of block schedules, there will be close to 45, 50 different blocks that you get to choose from. Western does block schedules for a couple of reasons. One, it kind of gives you as an incoming freshman the idea of what a balanced schedule looks like. And so it models what a good schedule looks like. The block schedules there's a couple of ways. If you look at them, they're labeled. Some are labeled for a major. So it might say communication studies, or it might say music, or it might say political science or English. Those are blocks that are appropriate for anybody who is intending to major in that particular major. There's some that will be labeled LACC. LACC stands for Liberal Arts Core Curriculum. And the courses that make up the liberal arts core curriculum is also in your packet. You can take a look at that. But the liberal arts core curriculum is Western's general education requirements. They're required by all students here at Western. And so if you're not sure what your major is, I've spoken to a lot of you, and that's the answer I got, was I'm not sure. That's great. Choose a block that's an LACC block. That will allow you to be able to take classes to fulfill your general education requirements and doesn't really commit you to a specific major. Now, you will register for the block schedules. It will open up on May 27th. So that's right after the 3-day weekend in May. On Tuesday, you will be able to log into the portal and register for your block schedule. You'll be able to give a couple of choices. We highly recommend that you choose a block schedule, even if you don't really find one that fits all of your needs. Go ahead and register for a block schedule, because when you come to SOAR, you will be making changes to that block schedule if you need to. So the blocks are usually about 12 credits, and that puts you at full time, but you may want to add a math class. Western recommends that students get their math taken as quickly as possible. And in addition, we would want you to get into a writing class and get that taken care of. So you may want to add a math class to your schedule. On the day of SOAR, you can take a placement test. The placement test will put you into the math that is appropriate for the level that you have. So for those who are not in a math class and you're in your senior year, I would highly recommend that you kind of brush up if you need to take the placement test. Otherwise, you may not test into the math that you want to place into. And so brush up on your basic algebra if you're trying to get into algebra. If you're going to be doing a BS degree, you need to do college algebra, Math 111. If you are going to be doing a BA, which is based on a second language, we will also be doing placement tests for the second languages. You'll have information in your packets about that. You will want to take the placement test for German and Spanish before you come. Placement tests for ASL and French are typically done at SOAR. So you will speak to a faculty member and they will place you in the appropriate level. And so for ASL and French, that's done at SOAR, whereas Spanish and German, you'll want to take the placement test before you come. What that does is, BA is based on the proficiency in the level of the second language. And so if you get placed into 201, then you just take 201, 202, 2 and 3. So it's really great to kind of brush up on your second language if you need to. Take the placement test if you're planning on doing a BA. The other thing is, if you are a science major and you're going to be taking Biology 211, there will also be a placement test for the biology as well, so that you can get placed into that Biology 211. Yes? Yes.
So it'll be biology will be administered in the morning at transfer student orientation. So yes, biology placement test. So for any student that plans to major in biology, or we've had some students say I want to minor in biology, then we recommend the biology placement test. Once again, in your folder is the biology placement test information. So it says, if you have a certain level in terms of college level biology and chemistry, you can bypass and place into a 211. If not, then you need to take the exam. My recommendation, folks, is last year was the first time that we administered the biology placement test at TSOAR and at SOAR. And I will say that some of our current students who did not come in prepared, let's just say there were some 5s and some 0s in terms of percentage, in terms of performance on the exam. So a lot of them said, it's been a few years, I didn't prepare. And so there is information available through the biology department that can help you prepare. So it's my advice for any of our placement tests, like math, the same way, is prepare. Some students that have in trig in high school that come to SOAR, they take the math placement test, which is an online test, and for lack of a better description, it's a reality check, and they're placed into a Math 70, and they'll say, well, wait, I got through trig, this is ridiculous. Now you can take the test again, you get 2 freebies for the math placement test, but usually what we hear is, yeah, I didn't prepare, even though, yes, I know the math department had some links off their site that said how to prepare, advice for the test. Some students walk in pretty confident, and they're knocked down a few notches would be the best way to put it. Others will do great. It's different for every student, but my advice for our placement test is please prepare. Yes, ma'am.
It requires a proficiency through the 203, so it would be through the second year, and it requires at least a C- or above in 203. So it's, like I say, it's a proficiency level. If you've never taken the second language and you start in 101, then you have 2 years. If you can place into a higher level, then that cuts down on the number of credits that you need to do for that. The math for the BA also is Math 105, and there's no prerequisite, no placement test, nothing. Anybody can come in and take Math 105. So that is an option.
And with math as well is that we do offer that at freshman orientation. You can schedule to take a math placement test with our math department. Sharon Price is wonderful. You can schedule a time to take it individually with her, and then she's even done that during the summer. And then we'll be offering it during New Student Week to all of our new students. There'll be multiple times you can take the math placement test during New Student Week, and we'll talk about New Student Week in a little bit, but there'll be multiple opportunities. The other thing I want to mention about language is that, let's say that you're really excited about American Sign Language, and you want to try that at Western Oregon, but you don't have a background. It sounds really appealing. Hey, I'd love to take American Sign Language. If you're new to a language, then you should start with the 100 level class, if that makes sense. So if I wanted to take, I took Spanish in high school, I went to West Albany High School, I took Spanish. Let's say if I want to take American Sign Language at Western, and I'm a graduate of the institution, is that I would start with the 100 level because I didn't have a background in ASL, if that makes sense. But if you do have that background, it's really important, as Tammy said, we need to assess your proficiency in a language. So whether that's taking step 1, it's an online placement test like Spanish, German, then meeting with our faculty for them to have a conversation with you, or when it comes to with ASL, if you have a background, is during TSOR, or during SOAR, is there'll be some designated dates where you actually sit down and talk to the faculty from ASL, and they can assess proficiency in that language. That's really important.
Another question I often get is how many credits should I take? In order to graduate in 4 years, it's 15 credits each term. But our recommendation from experience is that we recommend incoming freshmen take a little bit lighter load than 15 credits. That allows you to be able to find your way on campus, to figure out how else you want to be involved on campus. Do you want to be involved in the residence halls? Is there a club or an organization that you want to join? It allows you to find those resources, connect with the resources, and the extracurricular activities that are equally as important as how well you do in class. And so it allows that time to be able to connect with those types of activities. So we recommend that you carry 13 to 14 credits your first term. You can always make up those other credits in subsequent terms. So right around 13, 14 is what we do recommend. So if you have a schedule that has 12 credits and you want to drop a class and add a math or a second language, you'll be able to do that at SOAR. The purpose behind the blocks, let me talk a little bit about that because I haven't addressed that, is we've pulled seats out of the classes, but it's not the whole class. So if you look, there's a number by the block schedule. That's the number of actual blocks. So it will be 10, it'll be 15. That means that there's only 10 or 15 students who can register for that actual block. And so you're not going to go into every class and see the same students in every class. There will be other students mixed into the block as well. But what that does do is it gives you a familiar face in all of your classes. So if you are sick, we hope that that will help you build connections with that student. They're also in the residence halls. If you're sick, you can feel comfortable going up and saying, have your notes. I was sick on Tuesday, and you feel more comfortable. And so that's one of the reasons behind it. The block schedules allow you to begin to make connections with your classmates, as well as be able to provide you with, like I say, that modeling of what a balanced schedule should look like.
And maybe to jump in, Tammy, so a few comments on the blocks. What you have in your folders tonight, these are just examples, because occasionally at some of these receptions, folks will say, well, I really want that block. I'm going to get that one. These are just examples so you can really see what a block schedule is like. The other question that David got in Hawaii was, so if I register for this block, am I in these classes for the year? This is for fall term for freshmen only. So this is not for the entire year, but that's a great question to ask. Does this mean I'm in this one history class, 201 in my block, for the entire year? No, it's just for the quarter. So it's just for the quarter, so it's your fall term. So we do block scheduling just for first-time freshmen. Your first term, as Tammy said, really help you kind of ease into that process and have someone that's done a lot of the work for you in terms of developing a schedule. And we take into account instructors who work with primarily freshmen when it comes to the blocks, and having that balance in terms of LACC classes and introductory course, maybe it's for a business major or education, etc. And not freak out. Time to sign up for SOAR and look at those blocks. If you don't see one that's very specific to your major, as Tammy said, pick an LACC block or rank those, and then you can, once again, add an introductory course as a history major once you come to SOAR. So sometimes folks get caught up in that, is that if it's not specific to my major, is this going to put me in a tract where I'm taking classes that don't count? And that's not the case. These are LACC classes that, once again, are a graduation requirement for Western. To backtrack a little bit about transfer student orientation as well, how many of you will be coming in as a pre-nursing student or for teacher education for our transfer students? Just to give you a heads up about TSOAR as well, we do some early advising sessions, which means you got to come a little bit earlier. So if you need to make that stop to Dutch Brothers or whatever the case, maybe to get your caffeine fix, we want you to come a little bit earlier for teacher education, pre-nursing. You have to take the biology placement test. You do need to come a little bit earlier. If you want to major in business, you can sleep in just a little bit longer and check in a little bit later in the morning for transfer student orientation. So it is somewhat of a full day. We're probably looking until early to mid-afternoon for transfer student orientation. So make sure that if you have, say, employment, you let your employer know you'll be coming in until maybe later that afternoon, that evening, because sometimes students will say, well, what's the day look like so I can tell my work? I'll be working the night shift or whatever, or in terms of accommodations if you're coming from a distance, etc. But that's just something to think about in terms of what's the length of the day. Also for transfer student orientation, we welcome family members and guests can come. We have a specific panel discussion for family members and guests. There's activities planned for them. I get that question for transfer. Is it okay for me to bring my parents or my significant other or the case may be? And yes, family members and guests can come to transfer student orientation. It's not mandatory, but we'd love to have you come.
In addition, at both TSOAR and at SOAR, there will be faculty advisors from your major. So we will make sure when you walk out the door that you have a schedule that's going to be appropriate to your major. So you sign up for a block and you change your mind between when you hit the submit on that block and you come and you want to go to a different major, you can do that, and we will change it around and make it work. And so it's not set in stone. We can make changes. It can be changed. So don't worry about it. Pick the best block that you can come up with, and you are certainly free to send a question to our email. It's at advising@wou.edu. We'll reach all of the academic advisors at Western that are general advisors, and we can answer any questions that you may have. Again, that's advising@wou.edu. That will get an email sent to all the advisors in our office, and we can answer any specific questions that you might have. We know this is an exciting time, and we want to help make this a smooth transition for you. And so we will have plenty of opportunities to help you along the way. So feel free to contact us if you need to have any other questions after you leave this evening.
Some other advice that I have, too, is that we know we get some students that are very anxious and Norma and Zach, my staff, we can kind of chuckle about this. So SOAR goes live on May 27th, and usually we get calls from moms, and they'll say, I'm trying to sign up my student for SOAR, when their SOAR dates, and a block schedule, and I think I picked or ranked the wrong blocks, and my student's going to be so mad at me. So what I would say is, we know moms, dads, you're very involved in this process, nothing wrong with that, but please don't sign up your students. You have them with you, or you talk it over first, but we get those calls all the time. Usually it's a mom, not to pick on moms, we love you, I love my daughter, but it's good intentions, you mean well, but what you do is you log on, you have your students login information, you log on, sign them up for the first SOAR date because you want to go to that first SOAR date, and then you pick the blocks you think are best for your student, but you don't talk to your student, and then you come home and say, what did you do? And then Zach gets a phone call because they'll say, we need to talk to an admissions counselor, we picked the wrong block, and we can make that change, but just please have that conversation as a family before you sign up for the SOAR date in your block. And the SOAR dates are on the agenda that we gave to you tonight in your folder. Think about what dates are going to work best for you in terms of your summer, what your vacation schedule is like, employment. We want family members to come to SOAR as well. So just look over those dates and say, okay, we're going to Colorado in June, so the July date's best. Or, I'm going to be working up in Alaska for most of the summer. I'm on a fishing boat, going to make a lot of money to come to Western Oregon, use that for my education. I can make it to the last SOAR date. So think about just looking over your calendar, what date works best for you, and we'll try and accommodate your first request, as well as for the blocks. And some block schedules, just to warn you folks, do fill up relatively fast. And if you wait, you kind of drag your feet, then you'll miss out on a block. And so you rank your top, usually 3 to 4 choices, as Tammy mentioned. We try our best to give you your first choice of block. If you are in the honors program as a freshman, you are told not to pick a block. I heard this from Dr. Gavin Kelk. So if we have anybody in honors coming as a freshman, you will not pick a block schedule. There'll be a grouping of courses that you select, the advice of Dr. Kelks and his assistant Amy, and then you'll build around that at SOAR, and they do some specific advising. Any incoming football players, there are specific football blocks because there's the conditioning, then practice, and guess what? Practice is at 6:30 a.m. Have fun with that. So if you're coming to the football team, so you get done with practice and you got the rest of the day for other classes, but practice does start at 6:30 a.m. We had some families in Hawaii say they're coming to the football team. Is it really 6:30 in the morning? Yes, it is. So have fun with that. So I say that in just football player blocks. We need to kind of build around schedules, etc. Any other student athletes, too, that we contact the coaches and find out what's the practice schedules requirements so we can build around that and make changes at SOAR. If you're coming in on cross country, if you need to be out at the stadium at a certain time, we can make some adjustments with that. So we usually get that information prior to SOAR, and then we can work with you when it comes to advising and registration. We want to make sure that we get Fuchs, who is our Dean of Students and Director of University Housing, up front, that she would like to, describe as a quick update and kind of rundown of university housing. There is a handout that is in your folder, a housing update that Tina and her staff put together. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tina. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rob. Rob Fittner, everyone. Tammy Saffel. All right. First of all, maybe you haven't heard this yet today, but congratulations, admitted students. This is great. I'm not sure I've seen an on-campus admitted student reception this full. So this is awesome. It was a pleasant surprise to walk in here and see so many faces, and just glad to have you here. I'm here to give you an update on student housing, and oftentimes, particularly at this admitted student reception, a lot of people will sort of check out from my conversation, partly because many of you might be thinking, I'm just going to live at home. I live nearby. This doesn't apply to me. Well, I'm going to try to sell it to you tonight that it does apply to you. And I'm talking to the students, family members, parents. It doesn't apply to you in terms of living on campus, but you certainly will want this information. So we are still accepting housing applications for fall 2014. If you have not applied for housing, but it's something that you're considering, or you know you're going to do, then we want you to apply as soon as possible. I have housing applications with me tonight. Looks like admissions brought some paper applications as well, so you can pick one of those up on your way out. It doesn't hurt to pick one up. take a look at it, see how it fits with your needs. You can always mail it in later, but we are still accepting applications. There is a $40 application that goes along with this, application fee that goes along with this application, so think about that or consider that as you're looking at the application. First-year students. How many first-year students do I have in the room? Folks who are going to be first-time, first-year students, never been in college, just graduating from high school. Okay, a good handful of you. Okay, well, this message is for you. So all first-year students who graduate from high school within 1 year of coming to Western Oregon University are required to live on campus. So think about that. Those of you who live locally, you can request a waiver of that policy and exceptions that we make that are sort of standard, just so you know. Students who are living at home with their parents, you can't have an aunt or an uncle living in Monmouth or sister or brother, but if your parents live within 30 miles of Western, we do allow a waiver of the live-in requirement. If you are a student who is married or in a registered domestic partnership, you can request an exemption. Or if you're a student who has a dependent, you can also request an exemption of the requirement. And to do that, you have to fill out a university housing petition form. And I brought some of those with me too. If you don't do that, and our records show as you start fall term that you are a true first-time, first-year student, and you're not living on campus, I will hunt you down. Okay? I will look for you. I will seek you out to fill out this petition or to move on to campus. One of the two. We need to have record of where each of our first-year students are living. So please make sure that you communicate with us one way or the other. We do offer a number of residence halls for first-year students, and I want to tell you about those. It's unfortunate we're not going to be able to give all of you a tour tonight of these halls, but I'll try to give you my best description. So Ackerman Hall is our newest residence hall. It's actually just right across the road here. We offer single rooms, double rooms in that building. We house first-year students as well as students who are sophomores and above, which is different than our other first-year student buildings. This building also features theme-related communities of general interests or specific academic programs, including the arts, education, pre-nursing, Global Village, the outdoor adventure community. That sounds like fun to me. I just want to live there. American Sign Language, Greenhouse, which is our sustainability community, and then the honors community. For the honors community, if you're an honors student, you want to talk to Gavin Kelks. He actually helps arrange for those 30 participants to live in that community. So if that's something that you're interested in participating in, make sure you communicate that with Gavin. So that's Ackerman. It's a mix of upper class and first-year students. We also offer Barnum Hall, which is a suite-style residence hall where 3 people share a room. It's a good-sized room, almost 300 square feet, with its own private bathroom. It's appealing to a lot of students to have their own bathroom in their own room. Heritage Hall and Landers Hall are more traditional buildings. Heritage is similar to Landers. They both offer double rooms, but Heritage also has a handful of single rooms. Each of those buildings offers shared bathrooms in the community and study lounges throughout the facility. All of our residence halls are wireless, so you don't have to worry about that. It's a part of your room and board package. For those of you who are transfer students, we welcome you as well. And we have lots of space for transfer students in our residence halls. You can live in Ackerman Hall, which I described earlier. We also have some suite-style spaces available in Butler Hall and Gentle Hall. And then we have apartments available on campus called Arbor Park. And all of these are described in our housing application in probably greater detail than I've just described today. So if you want to take an application just to read up on that, you're welcome to do so. With living on campus comes eating on campus, and we want you to choose the right meal plan for you. This is a probably one of the #1 questions that I get about living on campus. Not even what building should I live in, but what meal plan should I have? And that is completely up to you. We generally tell students to start with meal plan 2 or 3 as kind of a starting point, and using Thanksgiving as your landmark date to determine whether or not you need to adjust that meal plan. Are you already adding dollars to your meal plan, or do you have a ton of meal dollars still sitting on your meal card? That's when you want to make an adjustment either up or down for the next term. And you can always add money if you run out of meal dollars on your meal card during the term. So when are you going to hear from us? For those of you who are considering living on campus, if you've already applied, then you're going to start getting some information from us starting tomorrow. Actually, not actually tomorrow, but in the month of May, we will send information out about what you can expect to hear from us over the course of the next couple of months. So we'll send out probably a postcard that directs you to a website that gives you some updated information about housing. At the end of July, you'll receive your building assignment and your roommate assignment along with your mailing address. We have a service center on campus where all the mailboxes are located. You have your own very personal mailbox, and that's where you'll receive all those care packages that your family is sending to you. And then finally on move-in day, which is September 21st, it seems like a long ways away, but all of a sudden we're all going to be here, and it's going to be move-in day. September 21st, we open our residence halls at 9 a.m., and our staff and a million other people are here to help you move boxes and pack your stuff to your room. So you're not alone that day, parents. You're not the only ones that are carrying boxes, little brother, little sister. It's a whole community of people that are helping you move your stuff into your residence hall room. That doesn't apply if you're staying at home. You don't get that fun fanfare if you're staying at home. So think about that. That right there is a selling point, don't you think? So living on campus is really about not just being a part of a community, but it's also an opportunity to get involved in so many different things. And what we found, what the research tells us, is that if you live at home, it is going to be harder for you to get involved than it will be if you're living on campus and have activities happening right outside of your door, literally right outside of your door. I don't know if you noticed, but in the Grove tonight, Ackerman Hall was hosting a Zumba event. I'm not sure I would do Zumba in the Grove, but students are much braver than me. So anyway, there are things happening all the time, and it's a great opportunity to get involved. But there are other more organized things that can happen for you if you choose. We have positions called hall hosts. I don't know if any of you have taken a tour with one of our hall hosts when you've been on campus before, but we hire 4 to 5 first-year students who get a room to themselves in one of our residence halls, and their job is to give you a tour of their building along with the other buildings. That is a great opportunity to maybe cut your housing bill down a little bit because you get a portion of your housing covered. A discounted housing rate, basically, and a room to yourself if that's something that you desire. Those applications are out right now, and they're due May 2nd. So if that's something you're thinking about, it's only available to first-year students. I would encourage you to think about that. We also have a position called the Residence Hall Association First-Year Student Liaison. It's a long title. You should see it on a name tag. But that student represents all first-year students and serves on the executive board for our Residence Hall Association, the folks who govern the Residence Hall government. So it's kind of a unique opportunity, and those applications are currently available and are due June 6th. And all of these applications you can pick up by just going online to our website and looking for the Leadership Opportunities link. There's a compensation for that, which includes discounted housing as well as a monthly stipend. So it's kind of a cool position. Some volunteer positions that we have available include our hall government positions. Each hall has their own government with a president, a vice president, secretary, treasurer, et cetera, et cetera. So if that's a way you want to get involved and not make as big of a commitment, that's certainly an option for you, and those applications are available once the year begins. We have a residential conduct board, which makes decisions about student misconduct. So if that seems interesting to you to serve on a peer review board that hears discipline cases, then certainly take advantage of that opportunity. Again, applications are available in the fall. Just like the Housing and Dining Advisory Committee, which is a group that I advise, and that group of students tells me how to set room and board rates, what kind of a budget we should develop for the residence halls, things like that. They advise me on policy and procedure. So if that's of interest to you, then take a look at those applications. We do have lots of other involvement opportunities available to students beyond the residence halls. We have resident assistants who help you transition to the residence halls, whether you're a first-year student or transferring in. You're not here left alone. I guess that's the big message I want to send to you tonight. This is an opportunity to be a part of a really cool community, and I invite you to at least consider the idea of living on campus if you haven't already, because I don't know, I've been doing this for a while, and I kind of like it. I grew up with 11 brothers and sisters, so I tease my staff that I've always kind of lived in a residence hall, and I believe in it strongly in terms of the experience that you can have living on campus here at Western.